It could be very hard to find silver linings for a San Antonio Spurs team who currently ranks in the bottom 5 of the Western Conference. However, if there's one thing to celebrate for the franchise, it's the rise of fifth-year point guard Dejounte Murray from being anointed as the Spurs point guard of the future to becoming the franchise's lead guard of the present. While other breakout point guards like Ja Morant, Fred VanVleet, or Darius Garland have been highly celebrated by the media, Dejounte Murray's own breakout season seems to have been slipping under the radar to the point that he wouldn't have been named an All-Star this season if not for Draymond Green needing a replacement. Well, sure, team standings affect All-Star selections. However, if we subscribe to the thinking that the 12 players with the best statistical performances from each conference should make the All-Star team, then without a doubt, Dejounte Murray straight up deserves to be recognized. As after 49 games in the regular season, Murray's numbers are just eye-popping. He's averaging a career-high 19.8 points per game, his 9.3 assists ranks 4th in the league, his 8.4 rebounds leads all players who stand 6'5" and below, while his 2.1 steals per game and 4 deflections per game also both lead the NBA. If such two-way dominance continues for Murray, he will be joining Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan as the only players in NBA history to average at least 18 points, 8 assists, 8 rebounds, and 2 steals throughout the course of a full season. Also, after recording his 15th career triple-double by putting up a monster 32-point, 15 assists, and 10 rebound stat line in a win against the Atlanta Hawks, Murray overtook David Robinson with the most triple-doubles in Spurs franchise history. And so far this season, to no surprise, Nikola Jokic leads the NBA with 15 triple-doubles, but Murray is a close second with 11 triple-doubles himself. Needless to say, we definitely need to pay more attention to Dejounte Murray, and so in this video, we'll break down his great two-way play and how he's showing promise as the potential long-term centerpiece for the San Antonio Spurs. So what's good everyone, it's Real Balls again, and if you guys enjoyed this video, you can show your support for the channel by hitting that like button or by clicking that subscribe button. It only takes a second of your time, but it would be much appreciated. So let's get to it. Even prior to the season, Dejounte Murray has always looked like a high-quality NBA point guard, but he also definitely had skeptics questioning his ability to become a good offensive anchor. Well, Murray has always been one of my favorite point guards in the league. Dejounte's 38.5 assist percentage is currently the 6th best in the NBA, but I'ma be the first one to tell you that he isn't the flashiest passer out there. His playmaking looks more straightforward and more predictable compared to that of the other guards who rank ahead of him in that category like Luka Doncic, Trae Young, or Chris Paul. But I think the beauty of Murray's game can be seen with how he's being aware of his shortfalls as a playmaker, and to offset for that, he has actually mastered the two kinds of passes that he mostly uses during games, which are first, the pocket pass to rollman or cutters around the rim, and second, the kick-out pass to open shooters on the corners or the wing. Just like in this semi-transition play, watch how Murray uses the high ball screen to set up his roll man. He attacks just right at the level of the screen, and noticing how far away the drop big is from the rim, he dishes out the perfectly timed one-handed pocket pass to Landale for the nice dunk. Then here, watch how Murray uses the screen to get downhill. He patiently snake dribbles around the paint while reading the defense, and upon seeing the open baseline, he dishes out the lefty bounce pass to the cutting Trey Jones for the wide open finish. Then here, it's a bit different. Coming from the elbows, Murray drives to the paint, but once he's trapped by Harrison Barnes, he still doesn't lose his footing and he calmly surveys the floor before dishing out the kick-out pass to Lonnie Walker on the corner, who hits the wide open 3. Overall, as is the case with great offensive initiators, Dejounte's playmaking abilities helps his team get better, as according to NBA Advanced Statistics, the Spurs as a team experience a 4% increase in effective field goal percentage when Murray is on the floor, despite him being a below-average shooter efficiency-wise. Additionally, his discipline as a passer beams out of his 11.6 turnover percentage, which ranks in the 84th percentile of the NBA. All these numbers tell us that Murray's ability to take care of the ball is one of the main reasons why the Spurs rank as the best team in the league in terms of limiting turnovers at just 11.1 per game. While usually, I prefer high turnover passers who take risks in order to bend defenses, but in this case, Murray's ability to provide a steadying presence for a young Spurs team is just really fun to watch. Well, moving on to the scoring end, Murray's offense is highly characterized by his affinity for shots in the mid-range. This season, Murray's 4.8 mid-range attempts per game is the most he's ever had, and among all 33 players to attempt at least 3 shots per game from the short mid-range, wherein most mid-range shots are taken, Dejounte's 47.1 shooting mark ranks in the 69th percentile. All in all, there are only a total of 9 players who are shooting better than him from that zone this season. The list includes universally considered mid-range assassins like Kevin Durant, DeMar DeRozan, Chris Paul, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Chris Middleton. Further, it's just when you watch Dejounte work in the mid-range, you can easily appreciate how smooth his ball mechanics are. He uses hang and crossover dribbles to create separation from his man, wherein he usually goes from right to left, and when he shoots, the high arc on his shot makes it almost impossible for defenders to block. Just like here, watch how Murray sets up his mid-range attack. He times his hang dribble with the screen to create separation against his man, then he just smoothly crosses into a 16-footer which Zubats isn't able to bother at all. Then here, Murray does it differently. This time he rejects the screen and he goes straight into his defender, then once again he goes to the left before hitting the tough 10-foot fadeaway shot. Overall, Murray's ability to create damage from the mid-range has in turn opened up driving lanes for him. While it's worth noting that Murray is a pick-and-roll heavy point guard who's one of only 10 players to run at least 10 pick-and-roll possessions per game as a ball handler this season. And theoretically, for a high-volume pick-and-roll guard like him who doesn't really shoot well from 3, big man defenders usually choose to just drop into the paint because again, the ball handler can't make them pay from behind the arc. Well, Murray has never really been a good outside shooter. This season, he's only shooting less than 32% from 3 and his pull-up percentage is a much worse 28.9%. However, because of the threat that his mid-range game creates, defenders still have to come up right at the level of the screen to defend him, and it's in those situations wherein Murray gets his chance to maneuver past them all the way to the basket. Well, sure, he doesn't really have the turbo gear or the vertical pop to constantly play above the rim, but he has great ball craft that allows him to get past his defenders, and he has a 6'9" wingspan that enables him to control the trajectory of his shot on the interior. And Murray's success as a rim attacker is backed up by the numbers too. This season, his 17.9 drives per game ranks 4th in the league, while he's also shooting a career-high 64.9% at the rim. Just like in this ball screen play, watch how Murray makes the big man pay on the switch. He breaks down Christian Wood's defense with a behind the leg and a crossover as he attacks with a left-hand drive before he ultimately transfers the ball to his right hand mid-air to avoid getting his shot blocked. Then in this ball screen play, Murray doesn't get the switch from the big man, but he still attacks the paint using his long strides and body control to get his shot to fall at the rim even against the tough defense. Well, for sure, Dejounte's strength is still his mid-range attack, but I think the massive rim attacking volume that it does open up for him will eventually put him in the position to be a really versatile offensive initiator who can actually lead his team in a future playoff series. Moving on, the other side of the floor remains to be Dejounte's hunting ground. Again, both his 2.1 steals per game and 4 deflections per game lead the NBA this season. Using his 6'9" wingspan and tremendous timing, Murray has always been great at pickpocketing ball handlers off screens while also being able to deflect passes all over the floor. Again, Dejounte is a really good one-on-one defender, but particularly, I really like it when he creates chaos by just letting his off-ball instincts take over during defensive possessions. Just like here, Valanciunas receives the ball on the low block and you can see Murray standing alone around the dunker spot, but once the big man starts to backpedal down, Murray just quickly comes from behind, swiping the ball away from the big man for the nice steal. Then here, watch how Murray defends the ball screen. Watch how tightly he stays with his man to prevent him from receiving the handoff, but when Alex Len decides to dribble, Dejounte goes for the switch and using his quick hands, he gets another steal. Well, definitely, Murray's defensive activity ends opposing teams' possessions, but I think another reason as to why his disruptiveness is so important is because it also ignites fast break opportunities for the Spurs. This season, the 1.24 points per possession that Dejounte creates in transition ranks in the 79th percentile in the NBA. But it's also worth noting that Murray's fast break ferocity isn't limited to plays coming off steals, because remember, he's one of the best rebounding guards in the league, and fresh off grabbing a board, is prone to hitting turbo gear on the way to finding his teammates on the fly or on the way to attacking the rim himself. As a result, the Spurs currently rank number 9 in terms of transition points with 19.6 per game, and a lot of this has got to do with Dejounte Murray's on-court awareness and ability to control the open floor. Overall, in an era where so many point guards have come out of the gate leading their team's offense at age 20, people tend to forget that Murray didn't have that kind of chance, as he has been drafted to a Spurs team that still featured Tony Parker, Ginobili, and Patty Mills at the guard position. Add in the fact that an ACL injury kept him out for his third season, and it becomes easier to understand why his path as a young point guard has been understated despite his growth actually being linear. But now, given the keys to the team, as he's currently averaging the 7th most touches per game in the NBA, we're starting to see the guy blossom into an on-court monster. Finally, we're getting a glimpse of how good the Spurs can become again over the next few years just by watching Dejounte Murray transform into one of the best point guards in the entire league. So what do you guys think is Dejounte Murray's ceiling? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below, and again, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing as well. Again, this is Real Balls, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.